non-tour card holder to win a PDC ranking title since Joe Mernon did it a couple of years ago. And the run that he's had today, £6,000 for making the final, 10 grand if he wins it. I mean, he is launching himself up the various tables. He's looking good for the World Championship. He could well end up with a tour card by the end of the year. It is a massive, massive day for Zoran Lerchbacher, but it will be a huge day for Joe Cullen if he can claim a second PDC title, having claimed his first one back in April, beating Darryl Gurney in the final, just as he beat Darryl Gurney in the semi-finals here today.
Yeah, we've been talking all weekend about the race for the World Match Play. That's signed and sealed now. Check out the 32 players by visiting the PDC website, but really all that's changed over the course of the weekend is that Justin Pipe made that run to the semi-final yesterday, which took the last spot for him. But as you mentioned, Zoran Lerchbacher was in the last place for a World Championship position, and he's really got a good cushion now. He's going to be there, isn't he, Alexandra Palace? And all these tournaments count towards ranking for all the big TV tournaments. So really pivotal day, perhaps, in the career of Zoran Lerchbacher, even if he doesn't win the final.
And that is the first 180. Zoran Lerchbacher getting himself back in this first leg, kicking off 26, but firing in a perfect visit to just remind Cullen that he's not going to have it all his own way in this leg. Cullen leaves himself 75.
Made a 180 last time out. He's going to apply some kind of pressure.
100.
Leaves himself a 2-darter, but Cullen has one to aim at first. Only going to get 1 dart at double top. And he hasn't hit it.
1 dart missed by the Yorkshireman. Can the Austrian take out 95? May look at the bull first dart. Does do. So now 20 for the bullseye. Can't find his way through. Didn't look particularly inviting, that lie from the first dart, but it means that Cullen will come back and look. And he will pin it 1-0 to Joe Cullen with a hold of throw, but not without a little bit of a worry from his Austrian opponent.
Any match between this pair, you would expect Joe Cullen to go on and win. However, it's a fairy tale day that Zoran Lerchbacher has been enjoying. His run to this final has included 4 6-5s and a 6-4. He did beat Mark Webster 6-2 in amongst that, but he's battled through right to the decider.
Well, Joe Cullen's had a couple of close shaves as well. Nathan Aspinall in the quarterfinals took him a deciding leg. And the very first game of the day against Roby John Rodriguez, RJ Rod number 2, was also 6-5. But how often do you see it that players, once they get past that first round, they can just seem to get into a groove? And the ones, you know, the more experienced ones, and Cullen is becoming one of those guys. I mean, he's been around for ages, but it's only really the last couple of years where he's looked a genuine threat to win titles on a consistent basis. You know, they learn how to cope with these days and play their best darts over a longer period.
Yeah, interestingly, Dan, it's a good point, because 3 of the 4 semi-finalists all had 6-5 wins in the first round today. Lerchbacher's was against Tony Newell. He then beat Robert Owen by the same score, and that win against Webster before seeing off Robert Thornton 6-5, Keegan Brown 6-4, and then Steve Beaton in the semi-finals in the deciding leg.
101.
Cullen has given himself an opportunity to break the throw and double his lead. He did that against Darryl Gurney in the semi-finals, and once he built up that lead, he was able to defend it solidly. Now looks at double 16 and hits it. 102 check out for a 15-darter for Joe Cullen. And is the rock star going to dominate this final?
Well, it's an early break of throw. Textbook start for Joe Cullen.
100.
He enjoys it here in Barnes. He doesn't live far away down the road in Bradford, and he's had some success here recently. He hit a 9-darter in March in this very arena, Metrodome, and also won his first PDC title a month later, beating Darryl Gurney in the final.
Moving down the board, because that dart looked a little bit loose, but my word, what a visit, Joe Cullen. Doesn't matter what he's aiming at, 174, as good as a maximum. This is his 6th PDC ranking senior final, Joe Cullen. He's only managed to win 1 before, and he was absolutely annihilated in some of the previous ones. I mean, the first one was way back, way back. That was when we first got a sense of Joe Cullen could be a big-time player 6 years ago when he was, what, just 21 years old, beaten by Phil Taylor 6-1 in a UK Open qualifier. But Michael van Gerwen, well, he beat him in a development tour, but I think senior ones, Benito van der Pas did him 6-0. You've seen Benito last year win 3 of these titles as Cullen looks at double 18 for an 11 darter, and this is fabulous stuff from Joe Cullen.
Yeah, very professional, solid performance so far from Joe Cullen. Lerchbacher powerless to stop Joe Cullen cruising to the title and the £10,000 that goes with it so far. Could all change, as we said. It's been a magical day for Zoran Lerchbacher, and he will now want to get Joe Cullen embroiled in one of those battling matches, but Cullen so far having none of it.
Yeah, but Zoran he suggested that he could do something. I think a run to the final is unreal. I mean, I don't think anybody expected he was going to go all the way to the final, and who knows, he could win it from here. This is a massively important leg for Zoran Lerchbacher. He can't go 2 breaks down, but Cullen is doing everything he can to make that happen. 180. But look at the wins he's produced this year, Zoran Lerchbacher. He's had 4 appearances in board finals, a couple of appearances in the last 16. So he's been knocking on the door of his first ever quarter-final until he got to it today, and then the semi and then the final. But he's beaten Cristo Reyes, player in form, beaten Benito van der Pas. He's beaten Adrian Lewis twice this year. I mean, that's not easy. He's given us little indications that he could do something. But against Joe Cullen right now, who is on for back-to-back 11 darters and a 4-0 lead, I'm not sure anybody would have got more than 0 legs right now against Joe Cullen.
Well, Lerchbacher may well get 1 on the board here. 66 required. Choices to be made. I think that's found the 11. Which would leave him 55. I think it's found the 11. Well, it must have just been in the 14.
Well, evidently, that's what the chalker says. Is the chalker to say game shot here?
10.
No, he is not. Joe Cullen missing a couple of darts. He's had 3 in this leg for a 4-0 lead and a double break. And Lerchbacher has to punish him. He has to. And he does. Double 10 is there. Lerchbacher in this game now.
Well, there will be no whitewash for Joe Cullen, but still in control of the match. Had the chance to move 4 clear. He started with a victory against an Austrian, as you mentioned earlier on, Dan. Beat Roby John Rodriguez 6-5. Of course, you have to mention it must be very, very satisfying for Joe Cullen having had to fly home from the European Tour event last weekend because his dad suffered a heart attack. Thankfully, his dad's over the worst of that and he's able to come and play his trade here. It's kind of poetic how he's playing an Austrian in the final because he had to forfeit his game against Menzo Suljovic in Leverkusen.
Yeah, and, you know, we saw Joe that he was obviously distraught, as anybody would be given that situation. There wasn't even a thought about carrying on playing. He just wanted to be back home with his family. He didn't know what the situation was at the time.
96.
And when he turned up here yesterday and went out early, you just thought, well, look, maybe he's not in the right mental space to be able to come and play darts. But look how he's responded today. I know we mentioned those couple of 6-5 wins where Nathan Aspinall and Roby John Rodriguez really pushed him. But the 2 big name players he's faced, Darryl Gurney and Benito van der Pas, he has swept them aside. He only dropped 5 legs in total in those 2 games. Joe Cullen has evidently been playing some excellent darts today, as he has been doing for a long time, and particularly on the European Tour. And you get the feeling that this may be a prelude to Joe Cullen having a big run at a TV tournament, and who knows, it could be the match play.
Yeah, it certainly could, and it was very interesting, the interview that he gave you, Dan, after he won his first title back in April, because he just put it down to taking it seriously and working hard. He said he's been lazy over the years, and it all started with his first round win at Alexandra Palace, and he's just continued to progress since then. 2017 has been a year of Joe Cullen starting to fulfil his potential.
Yeah, he's still only 27 years old. You've got to remember that. You know, he was in a ranking PDC senior final as a 21-year-old. And I remember he went to the Worlds and like Sky were doing interviews with him as the next big thing. And it just hasn't happened for a while. But now it appears to be happening for Joe Cullen. 32 he wants. This is awkward. He moves right, he moves left, he wants the green bit. But he can't find it. And Lerchbacher, 130 checkout. These are the moments that can change games.
And it's on. Another one or a single. Single it is. Bullseye for the Hypercane. And it's not far away. Cullen can breathe a little easier. But will he be breathing a sigh of relief? He is. 4-1.
He is, and after missing 3 darts in the previous leg and 3 darts in that one, he finally gets over the line. Re-establishes that 3-leg advantage. Lerchbacher still with a mountain to climb, but he had to win the last 2 legs against Steve Beaton in the semi-final, and he found a way to do it.
140.
Cullen just looks comfortable, doesn't he? His body language is good, composed, business-like. Looking very, very likely to get the job done here.
60.
Those darts did look a little difficult for Zoran to get by. It proved to be so. Cullen will switch now, surely he does, but can't find a treble. So Lerchbacher still in control of this leg and still in this match.
Well, Zoran has got to look at Mensur Suljovic. Mensur was a man who's been around for a long, long time, you know, winning soft tip world titles years ago. But when he decided to come and play this tour full time and give it a proper go, his level of performance just went up and up and up and up. And now Mensur's number 7 in the world. And Zoran, I'm not saying Zoran's going to reach that level. He could. We don't know how good he could be. But constantly playing against the best in the world is the best way to get better. And Zoran Lerchbacher this year has played more ranking tournaments than ever before. And he is getting better. And double top here for a Shanghai finish. Just pulls it a little low.
Well, this would be a huge one. A match winner. Not going to happen for Joe Cullen. Lerchbacher will return, eyeing up double 10.
59.
Well, he hit double 10 in the 4th leg. Hits double 10 again. Zoran Lerchbacher closing the gap, but Cullen still in control of this one. Just to illustrate how the difference in Zoran Lerchbacher's sort of piecemeal approach to PDC darts it's been in the previous years. I mean, he had a tour card for a couple of years, but he didn't fly over and compete, and it is expensive. It is expensive to do it if you're based in Europe and you're not one of the big boys who's constantly winning, you know, making finals and semi-finals, and you need to invest that time to learn how to win on the floor and be picking up £1,000 here and there, 1,500 quid.
60.
You need sponsors, and it is very, very difficult. But Zoran Lerchbacher has made 37 grand in his darts career. Now, this year in 2017, he's made 15,000 from the various Pro Tour events, plus £10,000 from the recent World Championships. So 25 grand of that 37 grand has come in the last, what, 7.5 months. So prior to that, he wasn't doing a great deal, as Cullen fires in 180, number 2, and if he does that much more on his own throw, Zoran Lerchbacher is just going to be taken out of this game.
It is, and it's a good point, Dan, because 6 of that from the previous years was from another World Championship as well. So anyway, Cullen looking for the bullseye for a huge one.
89.
Well, it's a distance away, but Lerchbacher would take a shot at the bullseye at the end of this visit right now.
Just a little bit high there. And it means that Cullen will return. I'm pretty sure it'll be 9 for double 16 for Joe Cullen. Double 16 he wants. Double 8 just next door. 1 miss inside, 1 miss outside. Lerchbacher on a 2-darter for a break of throw.
Well, this is where the tide could turn. Zoran Lerchbacher. Choices. Does he go double-double? He stayed at the treble and found it. Double 8. Oh, and he's nailed it.
Huge moment in this game. At the start of this one, Joe Cullen was dominating. It looked like he could blitz Zoran Lerchbacher, but missed darts in that 4th leg for a 4-0 lead in a double break. Missed darts in that 7th leg to re-establish his advantage at 5-2 up. It could well cost Cullen a second title. He is still the favourite, but Lerchbacher Maybe he just believes this is his day.
Yeah, a tale of two men who have taken darts more seriously this year than they previously were. Lerchbacher taking it up full time. He did go to Q School, didn't get a tour card, as we've mentioned, but he finished high enough up to have been able to play in every single Players' Championship event so far this year, and all 6 UK Open qualifiers as well. He did earn a place at the UK Open, so he's kind of got a tour card by default without actually having a card, hasn't he? Because he's playing in everything. That's because tour card holders don't turn up to every single event, as we've seen this weekend, a lot missing because of the World Series. But he's making the most of it.
He is. Now, does he stay up there? He doesn't need to go treble 17 bull. Turns out it's a wise decision. Now, a single 9, you would think? Or has he hit the 14? No, he has hit the 9. Just a shadow on the board there, I think. Cullen just looking to apply the pressure. And he does do exactly that. Zoran Lerchbacher now to level this game up. He was 3-0 down, but double 16 will make it 4-all. And that's what he's hit. And the Austrian has won 4 of the last 5 legs against the world number 22. And he is giving himself a very real chance of a fairy tale win here in Barnsley.
He certainly is. Just 2 legs away from a maiden PDC title and a £10,000 winner's check, matching his biggest career payday.
60.
Joe Cullen has been here before, though, and he was here against Daryl Gurney, an established player who just, less than 24 hours before claimed his first PDC title. And he came back at him after Cullen had established a lead, and Gurney got a dart for that title. And Gurney he didn't get another chance because Cullen closed it out. Cullen, massive. I mean, I remember him roaring on hitting the winning double. We've not seen any of that from Cullen today in the bits I've seen from him. He's been very calm, very composed. But the way that he is being forced to fight against Zoran Lerchbacher here, if he can get over the line, I would expect a similar
45.
bestial roar from Joe Cullen.
Yeah, it's been an interesting year on the Players' Championship Series. We've seen a few players pick up the first title and a few pick up the first title for many years. Just look at Darren Webster yesterday. But Joe Cullen could be about to double his tally. However, Lerchbacher is not just here to make up the numbers all the way through to the final, and he is giving Joe Cullen a game.
52.
52 scored leaves 60. Cullen should get 2 darts for this leg to go within 1 of a second PDC title.
60.
Lerchbacher, 1, 2, 3. It's makeable. Cullen cannot afford to give him a chance. Double 10. And he does deny him the chance. Cullen is 1 away. Lerchbacher, once again, as he was in the semi-finals, finds himself 5-4 down and needing to win the last 2 legs. He did it against Steve Beaton, the bronze Adonis. Can he do it against the rock star Joe Cullen?
And you just get the sense that Joe Cullen knew how important that dart at double 10 was.
100.
Probably kind of helped him that the first dart missed underneath the double top, because the one in the single 20 did look awkward, but now he seems to be making his move.
80.
An all-out assault on the Lerchbacher throw. Doesn't want it to go to a decider.
No, he certainly does not. But Lerchbacher, you can't rule this man out.
100.
Look, other players would have crumbled at 3-0 down. He may well have crumbled had Cullen hit any of those darts for a 4-0 lead. But Lerchbacher has found a way to just drag himself back into this game. And it is by no means certain that Joe Cullen, who was a heavy favourite at the start of this final, is going to go on and claim the title. Peter Jakes, a non-tour card holder, at the very first Players' Championship of the year, made it all the way to the final, raised a lot of eyebrows with that run. But Alan Norris managed to overcome him 6-1 in the end. It felt like Jakes just wasn't mentally prepared for the assault that Norris chucked at him. It looked like it was going to be similar in the early stages here. But Zoran has fought back, battled. However, Cullen has got 140 for the title.
Well, can he seal it in style? It's not going to go this visit, and Lerchbacher may well have to take out a huge check out himself to keep his hopes alive. Cullen leaves himself 80, But Zoran Lerchbacher 1-4-5 to stay alive in this final.
This would be the shot of his life, surely. Shovel 1 brings any hopes of taking out the 1-4-5 to a swift end, and Cullen should get one dart for the title. 80 he wants.
Double top to double his title tally. Over.
Treble 19. Does he go double-double? No, I think he goes up to the 18s. And he doesn't get it, so it's more championship darts for Joe Cullen for his second PDC title here at Players' Championship 16 at the Barnsley Metrodome. Double top, 3 darts in hand.
And he gets it on double 10. It's proved to be an important one for him in this match, and Joe Cullen is the champion once again. He wins Players' Championship 16, doubling his title tally for 2017 and indeed his career title tally. Another win for Joe Cullen, and I am sure an emotional one as well. Hats off to Zoran Lerchbacher on reaching the final, a man who'd never been as far as the last 8 before. But Joe Cullen, you can see what it means to him, and we're going to catch a few words with your winner. Today's champion is Joe Cullen.
You know the drill now by now, Joe. Your second PDC title. You've just beaten Zoran Lerchbacher in the final. He made you work really hard for that, didn't he?
Yeah, it did. It was. It's always a tough one because obviously I've never played Zoran before, but he's an unexpected finalist. Everyone knows that. It's hard to sort of. You don't know what to expect if you're playing sort of like the Darryl Gurney people like you know exactly what to expect. So I just thought don't be complacent. Just do the job, and I think I made it harder than what I should have done, but I've got other lines. That's the main thing.
After being a player who's always had potential, and we talked about this when you claimed your first title, right here, beating Darryl Gurney in the final, you said that it's hard work that has turned this around. It is paying dividends now. You've won your second PDC title in quick succession. I mean, this is exactly what you would have wanted at the start of this year, isn't it?
Yeah, it's sort of weird because I'm sort of disappointed with my form this year. I was although I'm better off financially on the rankings this year. I felt like I was a lot more consistent last year, and I just don't feel as consistent this year. But like I say, it was a weak field today. Well, I say a weak field. There was a few missing, but everyone can play here. It doesn't matter. Like I say, Zoran's got to the final there. Who would have predicted that at the start of the day? Yeah, like I say, I'm just happy to win.
Well, I mean, you've still seen off Darryl Gurney. You beat him in the semi-finals. You saw off Benito van der Pas, who won 3 of these titles last year, and in those games, he only dropped a total of 5 legs. I mean, it's not as if it's just opened up on a magical pathway to a second title for you, is it?
Yeah, I understand what you mean. It's I don't know. It's a strange one. Like I said, I felt comfortable. I felt comfortable all day, but I didn't feel like I was playing well. I just felt like, I played Nathan Aspinall in the quarters, and he could have easily been 3-4-0 up on me, and I sort of cleaned up the doubles. But that's what you expect. So, like I say, I'm just happy to win.
Look, we saw you. I mean, you're playing some fantastic stuff on the European tour, particularly this year, and picking up a lot of money. Keep making the final days. The most recent one, we know you pulled out of it because you had to go home because your father suffered a heart attack. I wasn't really sure this weekend whether you'd be in any state to come and do this. I mean, how satisfying is it? Has it just changed your perspective at all?
Yeah, it definitely has. No, it's
Oh no, it's emotional, man.
no, it's not even so much to win. It's just sort of remembering that. It's no, he'd be proud of me. Hopefully he's on the mend now. He's back home, and obviously things are looking up. So obviously I've won it today for him. I'm happy with that.
Well, look, fantastic. Well played today. Superb stuff. Joe Cullen, his second PDC title, beating Zoran Lerchbacher in the final. Players' Championship 16, done and dusted. It's also the race for the World Match Play at the end of Blackpool. That's done and dusted as well. Justin Pike this weekend, securing his place. He wasn't in the qualifying places at the start of this weekend, but just pipping Chris Dobie for a spot at the Winter Gardens. We will be back, PDC TV, the US Darts Masters, the latest leg of the World Series. That's starting this week. The Pro Tour will be back. That's going to be in August when we are back here in Barnsley, in fact, for Players' Championship 17 and 18. But of course, in between that, we have got the World Match Play, one of the biggest events in world darts. Joe Cullen, your winner here today, he's going to be there, as are the big names. The top 9 weren't here today, but the likes of Phil Taylor, Michael Van Gerwen, Gary Anderson, they'll all be at the Winter Gardens competing. And Joe Cullen, with the form he's in, he's going to